Number 56, Caroline Diaz-Cuida.
Hey friends, it is 18 days until show day on July 2nd, and I'm like really feeling it, but that's okay. Today's a rest day, so I'm gonna embrace it. Did some yoga this morning, my meditation. I'm going to work on my recovery. That's honestly what I usually do on a non-training rest day. I also didn't do cardio today, which is like one day out of the week that I don't do cardio. Giving my legs a little break. They need it. So that way I can get some of the inflammation down, some of that water retention to come down. And then I have check-ins tomorrow. So fingers crossed that I get coach approval that we're going in the right direction. I think we are. But, you know, we're always in our heads in this sport. And that's kind of the topic I wanted to discuss today, is some of the mental challenges that have surfaced for me, and I think some people can resonate with. So I've been competing for over 5 years, and every single prep is different. I don't care what anyone says. People can say that, you know, your preps are going to be very similar, XYZ. Every single prep that I've done, even when I've been working with John for the past 3.5, 4 years, every single prep's been different. My calories have been different. My cardio has been different. The way my body's responding to supplementation has been different. So when you're looking at it from a big picture perspective, you need to take that into consideration so that you don't get too analytical on yourself and end up mentally holding yourself back because you think, oh, I should have been at this spot because that's where I was last year when I prepped. Or maybe this year because I'm working a different job, my prep should be easier because I'm on my feet more, blah, blah, blah. Whatever excuses people come up with. I hear it all the time. But needless to say, when you are competing and prepping, your body's changing, your metabolism's changed, your body muscle mass, lean muscle tissue has changed. So for me, like last year, my stage weight was like 128, 129. And when I was like 3 weeks out, I was probably 133, 135 pounds. For perspective right now, I'm 140 pounds and I'm less than 3 weeks out. So what does that indicate to me? It means I have more muscle density, but it also means maybe I'm not as lean as I was last year, which I think is accurate. So these are some of the like analytical pieces that you have to think about as you're continuing to do this sport or you're trying to change your body composition. I've got a lot of followers who don't compete and they just enjoy watching the process and learning through the process. But in the same sense, those are the things that a lot of us get wrapped our heads around and overthink. Now, one of the triggers that has been really hard for me, and I've had to really take a step back and kind of do some self-analysis, is the comparisonitis and not thinking I'm good enough because I'll go on my phone, I'll go into Instagram and I'll be scrolling and I'll see some girl who's doing my show. And almost instantly I get like this gut-wrenching feeling. And it's not even like the fact that I know there's going to be other women at my show. Like I already know that. I've done almost 10 shows. But it's the fact that I'll look at her physique and I'll start nitpicking how I think I look. And start worrying about, oh my God, am I going to be looking how I want to get on stage? And am I going to be good enough to get a pro card this year? And those are the types of thoughts that start to deteriorate the potential that we have, because it's really sucking away that positive energy that we're putting out in the universe. We're manifesting the hopes and dreams and goals that we have, but when we start just putting that energy into, I'm not good enough, or this person looks better than me in this way, or oh, if that person shows up on stage, I'm probably not going to get it. Those are the thoughts that are going to wear us down and take away from that positive light that we're trying to stay focused on. because prep's already hard enough. And when you start having those negative self-talks happening, it gets literally 10 times worse. So I realized after doing some journaling the other day, when I got triggered again, I actually mute a lot of these pages or I unfollow them just so I don't see them, because for some reason it just like stirs within me. And then I was like reflecting, I'm like, oh my God, I know why. And it's actually a childhood wound that started in high school. Growing up, I wasn't athletic. I mean, I was skinny, I was a farm girl. I got good grades. I was very involved in the community. And like a lot of people knew me, they knew my family. Like it was a good environment growing up. However, the one thing that I think has festered is this inner never being good enough. Because even in school, like I said, I wasn't good at sports. My dad really wanted me to be active in volleyball. He wanted me to be on basketball. He wanted me in softball. And I didn't do any of those. I actually didn't make the team. And it was really hard because he would constantly, like when I get home from school, I can't even tell you how many times. He'd be like, I'd tell him like something good that happened. He'd be like, oh, well, how'd Emily do? Or how did Jamie do? Or how did Autumn do? Or how did Bailey do? Well, I saw that Autumn did XYZ at this volleyball tournament and she's the all-star in the newspaper. Okay, I'm not Autumn. Thanks, Dad. And that was something that was really like hindering for me for a really long time. And I'm just now realizing, like, I'm 28 years old. That was at age 16. It's literally taken me years to realize, like, that internal wound isn't healed because I'm getting triggered now in this sport that is very individual, and I'm getting triggered by other competitors who really are my sisters. They're sisters in the sport. I want to support other women in the sport, and I've made a lot of friends in my division, in other divisions. I keep in touch with them, even if we're competing like at different shows or at the same shows. Like that's what I really enjoy about this sport. And it's just like, wow, how do I work on this, you know? And I think a lot of people can resonate with that, and a lot of women especially, that comparisonitis is just getting worse, specifically because of social media. So what are some things to do to combat that? First and foremost, you need to do some self-evaluation work to find the trigger, right? So that's what I've been doing, is like really analyzing, why do I feel this way? What am I feeling? How does that make me change my interactions with people? How does that affect the way I present myself on video or in photos or in public places? Do I get more self-conscious? Do I try and hide my body because I don't want people to see it? Do I show my body more? Do I flirt like outwardly to try and get attention? Like, what are those things? So doing a really hard deep dive into that. And journaling has been super helpful for me in that regard. Second is creating boundaries so that you can start to mitigate those triggers. So like I was saying, I've muted pages, I've unfollowed pages. Not that I dislike people, but it just doesn't serve me right now, especially with my conscious self in trying to mitigate these festering feelings. So, you know, I've unfollowed a handful of women that I know are doing the show just because I don't need that added effect on me. It just weighs me down, and it takes away from the focus that I can put on improving myself internally, physically, spiritually. So that's kind of step 2. And then step 3 at the end of the day is you have to reach a point where you can forgive and move past that trauma. I'm not there yet because I'm still like fighting through this, and honestly one of the best ways that you can do it, if it was a certain person that had affected you, having a conversation with them is ultimately like the best way to mend it. And I haven't had a conversation with my dad, so you know, Father's Day is coming up. Not the most ideal time to have a conversation, be like, hey Dad, you remember when you used to criticize me and say I was never good enough? Yeah, I'm still trying to heal from that, but I forgive you. Like, not really the best timing. So, just thinking through, like, you know, what are things that you can do to move forward and move past it, whether it's going to a therapist or you're doing something that's going to help better your spirits and help you be uplifted more. So that is a big piece just lifted off my chest right there. Wow. Whew. So as you guys can tell, I've definitely been into my spirituality and the emotional side of things. I feel like I do a lot when I'm cutting down because I don't get a lot of food, I'm training hard, and my body is just like feeling broken all the time. So then I shift a lot of it into the mental, spiritual, emotional piece of me, the psychological side. And it's kind of cool, very transformative. I feel like I'm almost always, every prep, I've got a new transformative piece of me happening. So I hope somebody found this beneficial because, like I said, a lot of women go through this and don't talk about it, or they're bashful to talk about it. They feel shamed. They're like, oh my God, why do I feel so self-conscious? I don't want to judge her, but XYZ. Like, I'm not about gossip. I'm not about judgment. Like, unfortunately, in this sport, it's an evaluation of someone's look, right? It's not about who they are and their character. It's about someone's look. And I've always been really hard about, I want to be known for more than just my body. Like, growing up, I never deemed myself as beautiful. Guys would always call me pretty, but I never felt beautiful. And I never ever felt sexy either. But honestly, like, when I get compliments that I'm sexy, it doesn't make me feel good. It just makes me feel like an outward shell of what the society is deeming is okay. But I'd rather be beautiful because that means someone's acknowledging me for my mind and my physicality. And that's an outward portrayance of the energy I'm bringing into the space. Oh, so now that I'm feeling all sorts of like glowy and release right now, I think it's perfect time to segue out, and I'm going to work on some writing and client work right now. And I got most of my household chores done on Friday and Saturday, thank goodness, so I don't have to do much today, which is nice. Might just relax and work on, like I said, research, writing, and bettering myself as a human. So thank y'all for tuning in as always, and more content to come very soon.